No one else was in. I'm an artist who is a teacher, and I don't think one is independent from the other. And I think I'm really lucky to do both. Same thing again. I grew up sitting in the wings, watching the high school kids do Oklahoma and Fiddler on the Roof, and was instantly drawn to these magical worlds that were made up. I remember waking up the next morning after seeing those and being homesick for whatever I had seen. I wanted to go back to that world. And then along the way started noticing things like great performances on PBS, and that led me to wanting to study musical theater in college. PBS has been great for me as an educator because of the countless resources that are available to me just simply online. And I had no idea there were so many there until I went and surfed around for an afternoon and kept going, because I would find one page that led me to another, and I kept thinking of amazing different ways that I could use all of them in my classrooms.
They're revolutionaries together, they're soldiers together, they're lawyers together.
Whether it's the internet or a video or a book or the history of Broadway, I'm able to still bring that to a kid that can't travel to go see a show in New York City or even downtown Houston. I can still bring a kernel of that excitement and truth and inspiration into that child's life. So when I can see that happen in a child's eyes because of the great resources that PBS provides teachers, that is ultimately very rewarding as a teacher. Last year, I wanted my kids to look more in depth at Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton.
There's the part of my brain that works really hard on making Hamilton historically accurate and exciting and high stakes. And then there's the charge and the adrenaline that comes from performing something and hearing a response.
One of the great things about Hamilton's America is that within that documentary, you're able to see both the historical context of the piece and the cutaways to how the show was created.
Seeing Hamilton's America really allows us to grab a background for Hamilton in general from 1776 and all the insightful information that comes from this musical and comes with the process of creating a musical like this.
Not long afterwards, Rachel contracted a lethal fever, which she then communicated to Alexander.
In the eye of a hurricane, there is quiet.
That's one of the greatest gifts of PBS, is the cross-curricular nature of the programming is exactly what our appraisers are always looking for in terms of what we're teaching, but it's also exactly what we want to give our students, that history absolutely applies in the arts and music absolutely apply to how we tell history.
Hearing about a lot of the historical context that I learned in Hamilton's America, it presents it in a way that's pretty different from my U.S. history textbook.
Houston Public Media is your local PBS station, and we're proud to bring you stories and voices of people here and around the country. Support Houston Public Media at $10, $20, or $30 a month. You'll be a sustaining member with access to hundreds of on-demand programs through TVA PBS Passport. Become a sustainer by calling 800-364-8300 or give online at houstonpublicmedia.org.
I wanted to make Hamilton come alive for my students, and we looked in depth at the music theory behind the music, and then we looked at hip-hop. We read Ron Chernow's book, hopefully again piquing their curiosity that they'll continue that learning after that class ends.
I should have known the world was wide enough for both Hamilton and...
Thanks to Hamilton's America on PBS, I'm able to give opportunities to my kids like Jackie, who's able to now get her own choreography on kids and see what that looks like. I get to work with students like Ashi, who is learning what his voice is in terms of rap and rhythm and rhyme. Another student is designing her own costume renderings based off of the original historical designs. The most wonderful thing I can do as an educator is to say, here's some opportunities, let's see what happens. I'm able to look at students like Elia and say, this is something that I see you doing in a few years on Broadway.
2, 3, 4.
The arts are the great teachers of life. And if we don't give the arts to our kids, we are robbing them of a full life experience. And I really do think that our young artists will be the next Lin-Manuel Mirandas. It's because they are watching the great artists that came before them, that they are inspired to write and create, and their work will inspire and create other artists that come after them.
Throwing away my shot till the world turns upside down.
I'm very grateful to Houston Public Media for the numerous ways that they have enriched my classroom at HSPVA. I find that my lessons are enriched because of the materials I'm able to bring in, that my understanding of material is deepened because of the things I'm able to research via PBS, and I think my students' lives are bettered because of the amazing work PBS does, and I'm very grateful and thank you. I'm Charles Swan, and I support Houston Public Media.